Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print 3D channel. Today is September 5th, and that means day 248 of the 3DP 365 project. And on today's episode, we printed out these very cool tulip vases, so stick around. Hey everybody, welcome back, and thank you for joining me here for day 248 of the 3DP 365 project. Today we printed out a couple of these really cool tulip vases, but the first thing I want to talk about is yesterday's print, which was Wallace. And during the video, I told you guys that I possibly had some Z-Wobble that may have drifted in and drifted out of the printer during the printing of all the parts for Wallace. And I may have been incorrect about that. I'm not exactly sure, because I quickly made a quick tower test in Cinema 4D, and I started printing it, and I actually stopped at about 60%, because I didn't see any of the Z-Wobble happening in the bottom part where it seemed to be so prevalent in the prints from the Wallace print, on his arms and his sleeves. But as it got closer, just after 50%, it started to do what I think might be under extrusion. Now, I'm not exactly sure what happened with Wallace, but I do see a little bit of under extrusion on my little tower test. So in this case, normally what I would do is run out a Benchy or some other test model, but that's really not going to show me a lot of distance and build height to really tell me if my Z-Wobble is still a problem. So I went over to Thingiverse and I looked around and I found this really cool tulip vase. And this was only an hour and 22-minute print in vase mode, and I figured this would be a good way to see if that Z-Wobble was still present in any of my prints. And lo and behold, it's not. I don't see any sign of Z-Wobble whatsoever. So I'm probably going to run another tower test just to be sure before we go and run out a multi-part, multi-print, multi-color model like Wallace again, because I really don't want to have to stop and reprint parts for some weird issue that drifts in and out of the printer. So I went around and I tightened everything up, and I actually flipped the acrylic over to the fresh side of the acrylic, and I gave it a quick sanding and we started printing on that. I did have to re-level out my BL Touch and reset it, and the first few prints got a little bit too close to the print bed, and I hope I didn't ruin my nozzle, but it didn't scar up the print bed, so I'm okay there. It's just a brass nozzle. I haven't installed that hardened nozzle yet. And then we ran out a couple of vase prints. Well, actually just one vase, but a couple of prints. First we ran this one out in the same color as we ran out the sleeves for the Wallace print, which is MatterHackers Pro Series PLA in blonde. And like I said, it didn't have any problems. It was just a quick hour and 22-minute print, and it actually came out pretty perfect. I actually love this design. It's very cool. It's very reminiscent of like a plaster column or maybe even a rook in a chess set. It has a lot of different characteristics, and that's why I like it. I'm not exactly sure what the tulip design is. I'm guessing that shape is somewhat of a tulip shape, and that's why it's called the tulip vase. But I'll put the link down in the description if you guys want to print this one yourself. It's actually a really cool design. This is 100%. Well, not actually 100%. That brings me to another point. When I imported the model, it came in as inches. So the actual height of this is 2,540 millimeters, or 2,540% scale, which is weird. So just a little heads up, designers out there, make sure you're designing in millimeters. All 3D printers use metric system, not the imperialist inches. So let's make sure we put our stuff in metric. But beyond that, after dropping it out on the print bed and actually making the right, having to make sure it was the right size that I wanted, because at 2,540% scale, you're like, well, how big is this thing really going to be? But this is the actual size, and it's only about 12 to 14 centimeters tall, or 140 centimeters tall. That's not, or millimeters tall. That's not too big. And like I said, it was only an hour and 22-minute print, and it came out perfect. So I went back over to Simplify 3D and I scaled it up to 5,000% of the original size, because it's in inches, it's not in the right scale size. And we printed out this guy in MatterHackers Pro PLA Silver, and it came out perfect. I mean, there is a little bit of that resonant waving that we've seen in the past in my vase prints, but not nearly as bad. And I think the print turned out awesome. This is very, very nice filament, and it's a very cool design. I almost went up to 7,500%, which would be 300% in our books, and made this a super gMax sized print, but it was about a 14-hour print, and I didn't really have that much time. I wanted to get some prints out for you guys for today. I mean, we did have this, and we did run our little tower test, But I didn't think that was enough. So I went ahead and gMaxSized it, and I made it 5,000%, which is really, I think this is about 220 millimeters tall, or 22 centimeters tall, something like that. But the print time was about 8 hours, and the actual print itself, it looks amazing. This is such a cool design. I really love this shape. Like I said, I don't know where the tulip comes from. This reminds me of like a rook in a chess piece, in a chess set. But the print itself, it came out great. There are no problems, there are no blobs, there are no globs, there are no layer skips or layer shifts. There's no sign of that under extrusion or that Z-Wobble whatsoever. This is a very, very good print. The problem is when I only used 3 bottom layers on this, I don't know if you can hear it, it's rattling because the bottom piece kind of came off a little bit when I was pulling it off the print bed. Because I didn't take my time, I kind of just jammed my little scraper under there and just popped it right off, which caused it to disengage from the perimeters, the base layers, the bottom layers. But I'm okay with it. It's just going to sit on the shelf. This isn't a functional item. It's just more of a decoration, and I think it turned out pretty good. And I'm really happy that my printer doesn't have any more sign of that Z-Wobble. Hopefully it won't drift back in again during a long print. But I'll keep checking it, and I'll keep running out my little test tower. My little test tower is only an hour-long print, so it's an easy print to test just in case. And I'll probably move it in a couple different locations on the print bed just to make sure there's no problem. But now that I've flipped over the sanded acrylic board and I've reset my BL Touch, my gMax is back to printing awesome. Well, that about wraps it up for day 248 of the 3DP 365 project. If you're looking for ways to support the channel, check out the affiliate links down in the description. If you purchase anything through the MatterHackers, GearBest, or Amazon affiliate links down in the description, it'll kick a little bit back to the channel and it won't cost you a penny, and I really appreciate it. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share those videos, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.